Hi, how are you?
I am fine. I'm sorry, I'm a couple minutes late. It was a fight to get the kid down for sleep this time.
That's what Haley thought. So,
Yes, I didn't even realize that. Like, I walked out the room and I looked at my husband's computer and I said, "What time is it?" He's like, 8:17. Shit. Okay. So, how are you?
it's been a busy week.
Yeah.
I did this yesterday.
Oh, fun.
It's like it's my own Jedi, and she's got like, I been drawing like a temple grounds in the background and everything. So
Oh, that's so fun.
that was started yesterday because yesterday, of course, was May the 4th. So I couldn't help it, I had to work on it.
You were compelled.
I was, and I was encouraged by being able to have a Star Wars mask, and I had my Star Wars t-shirt on yesterday. So
So you were like very Star Wars.
yeah, and then when I was driving, nothing but Star Wars music was playing. So
Oh my gosh.
you can say it. You can say it. I'm a nerd.
Well, I mean, you're not far off from our household, as you know. I mean, we also watch Miyazaki movies. We also like Firefly, and
Hey, I've
I
just been.
might have had my prom dress custom made to look like Galadriel's from Lord of the Rings, but that's neither.
Oh, I got to see that.
I have it up in my. Actually, I still have the dress.
She had her dress made to look like Galadriel's dress from Lord of the Rings.
What?
Her wedding dress?
Is she showing it?
Not yet.
No, it's my prom dress. My wedding
Prom
dress.
Prom dress.
Okay. Yeah, and the guy I was dating at the time was Bilbo Baggins in our local like rendition of The Hobbit. So it just felt very apropos. But anyway,
yeah, for sure.
Definitely nerds over here. So
all right, so I'm in good company. That's good.
Good. Oh yeah, one day I'll have to. I have a photo somewhere of me and my prom date as babies. But anyway, okay. So let's dig in here, especially since I showed up a little late. I will make.
I had some
time.
I did like some amazing notes. I have Instagram video 1.
Okay.
I have, and then I didn't do Instagram video 2, but I just kept going. So, onto video 2. So I got through the first 2 videos. So that's good.
Okay, good. So
I have notes.
That being said, then, I mean, I know you mentioned that you had stuff you kind of wanted to talk about within that content. So,
well, I wondered. So here's the question.
Okay.
So it talks about journaling prompts in the workbook.
Yeah.
Can I print those out and just like form them how I want them to be, or?
Yeah, so you can either print them out, and because those pages are black and white, I tried to make it so they were printer friendly. Okay. So you can print those out and actually write on there, or if you feel like you want to be more extensive, you can just write the prompts in your journal and then
okay,
free flow a little bit. You don't have to stick to
that. Might be a little easy. I don't know, it might be a little easier for me.
Yeah, sure. I mean, some people are like pretty diligent, like you're a diligent note taker. I would imagine you would have lots to add. But like somebody like me, I'll probably just like answer next, so I'm not quite figured out how to journal yet. I figured out how to write journal prompts, but that's it.
Sometimes I'm a little deep when I get started on my answers for something, because
that's good. That's a good thing. I mean, that's what I want for my clients. I want them, and I want that for anybody who has like the workbook, is to have kind of that depth with it, because otherwise it's just kind of like a PDF, if you don't really like engage with it. So
yeah, exactly. So I think I'll what I may do is I still might like print those prompts off, those
Mhm.
journaling prompts, and then use them from there. Do you find that the grid makes much difference anymore? Like how it's formulated and everything?
No.
Okay.
I mean, and the thing is like, so it all depends on your person, right? Like on your ideal customer and what they like to look at. You know, in the yarn world, like when I work with people who have yarn businesses, people like things to be pretty. So I mean, their clients may gravitate towards grids that are prettier, but in your world, I imagine it's probably not going to be as important.
Okay.
I mean, there are loads of people who have great engagement and really high following. And not that a high number is important, but and their grid looks like really disjointed, or it's not like beautiful or cohesive or color coordinated, and nobody gives a rat's. Like maybe at one point that was important, but Instagram has definitely moved away from that.
Okay.
Most people don't really care as long as the content's good.
That's good, because my Instagram for Soundtrack Alley is like crazy. It's not, it's disconjointed and like, I mean, I can just show you an example. This is my Instagram for Soundtrack Alley.
And I think that's fine. I mean, like,
Yeah.
there is something that actually is a little bit cohesive about it. Maybe the colors aren't necessarily
I have a lot of blue.
the same, but no, I think it's fine. It's really, yeah, again, it's really just kind of like, what is your ideal customer going to gravitate towards? And if they're just going to gravitate towards stuff that's like important for them, then that's different. But I mean, yours is like a bunch of movie stuff. So I mean, like it is cohesive in a way because it's all kind of the same thing.
Once in a while, I throw in a picture of a beagle.
That's true. I do see a photo of a beagle here. Oh God, Return to Oz.
Yeah,
I
that's an
watched
old one.
that movie so much as a kid.
It's terrifying, isn't it?
Well, back then I thought it was really great. Now I watch it and go, what the hell were my parents thinking letting me watch that?
Right?
But it's like right up there on Disney Plus. Every time we log in, it's one of the ones it recommends to us. It's like, well, I don't think I need to go through that again.
It's like scarred for life.
Oh man. But anyway.
Those were dark days of, like movie watching, because like, we got into Neverending Story and Labyrinth and The Dark Crystal.
And like the last
Secret of
Unicorn, that was like,
oh yeah, that's sad.
Super sad. Anyway, so okay, so yeah, so short answer, no, right. It doesn't matter.
Okay, good. So I like how in your workbook you arranged it by like explaining what the reels are. I kind of had questions in regard to some of that, because like if you're doing a reel, it should be like 30 seconds to, well, like 30 seconds, right?
It's between 15 and 30. So depending on what kind of an account you have, if you have a creator account, you can go up to 60.
It's creator account.
Or I mean 30 right now. But I did hear that they are starting to extend it to up to 60 for some people. So that may be coming. I wouldn't be surprised. If TikTok's doing it, Instagram is gonna do it.
I see.
Basically.
Well, because Instagram's got to compete.
I mean, they like, I've never seen them so hell-bent on making sure that like they are top, like they are really competitive. Like stories came out to compensate for Snapchat. The IGTV came out to compensate for YouTube, but like they are pushing reels so hard to compete with TikTok, because I think they know how dangerous of a competitor it is.
Okay. Let's see. You had asked me like one of the things regarding prompts, or not prompts, but material. you had gave me homework, which I worked on, because I did the let me think. It's the website searching.
Oh, yes.
Like I looked through different web hosting. Like I looked at Bluehost, I looked at Wix, I looked at Squarespace. I already knew WordPress. I don't want to go with WordPress.
Not surprised.
Well, I mean, it's just, I want to go with something that's a little bit cleaner, a little bit
Yeah.
different, something that stands out,
Yeah. Like if you are a software developer and you like to nerd out on coding, WordPress is great. Otherwise, not really.
Okay. Because I have WordPress for Soundtrack Alley. It's not great, but it's there.
Yeah. Gets the job done.
Yeah, exactly. And then you had me, let's see. I don't know if I can pull up the email.
So wait,
or not.
who are your top contenders then?
Well, like top 3?
Yeah, like which ones are you really like heavily considering?
Squarespace and Wix.
Okay.
I'm really debating between Squarespace and Wix.
Okay.
So.
Oh, yeah, I have Wix.
Mhm.
And I like it.
Website looks very nice. Did you see Haley's?
No, I'm pretend I said yes. Pretend I said yes. Because she can't hear you.
Not
So
finished yet.
You could look at it real quick.
No, don't give up your time to that.
Okay.
I'll look at it. I'll look at it right when I'm
Okay.
Here, just set it there.
Okay, thank you.
It's houseofwellcraft.com.
I texted it to you.
Yes, she did. I'm gonna look at it right away.
I just thought I'd ask because you two have a very similar vibe.
No, we do.
Yeah.
Like when we went out to eat, we ordered the same food, we ordered the same drinks, like without knowing what the other person was gonna order. Like that's
She didn't realize you were so tall.
Oh yes, I'm very tall. Very tall.
I'm not tall. I'm not tall.
I said she is.
Yeah.
This is what you get when you have 2 clients that are in the same room. Okay, so one of the homework things you told me to start digging into the Instagram videos. I really found those really eye-opening in a lot of ways, especially you wanted me to do my About Me page. Now, does that work in conjunction with like your bio for Instagram?
In a sense, yes. I mean, you're gonna still try to hit sort of kind of the same points, but obviously you have to massively condense it because you only got 150 characters. So it's really about kind of hitting like the most important things at the top. So like your name line would basically be like your quick introduction of yourself that just kind of like, hey, and then you go into talking about what the value is, right? So usually if people use some sort of like a tagline or something that they think is like important for people to know right off the bat so that they know how they can be helped. And I can definitely sit down in the next couple of days and kind of figure out, I mean, if you want to try to write the bio first, that's fine. I could write it too. It totally depends because I can write it based off of your About page that you gave me.
Yeah. How did I include too much or too little?
No, neither. I mean, you did fine. Like you did good. You did really well. So the only thing is that I come at it from a perspective, like I look at it through a customer lens, right? Like I look at it like if I was going to hire somebody, what would be the points that would strike the hardest with me? So it's always a little bit different when you're writing it. Like it's tough for me to write them about myself, my own About page, but I can do it for other people really easily because I can look at their business from an outside lens versus mine. It's a little trickier because it's my business.
It's your business. Yeah.
Right. So I think it's a little bit harder to do that, but I do think that, no, I think you did a great job. I just do I'm just very edity.
I don't mind your tweets.
Okay.
I don't mind them.
Like I had started writing the email to you, because I had went in and like I changed a couple of things, and so I had started the email with, okay, I just made a couple of tweaks, and then I really went through it again. And I was kind of like, okay, what if we move this? Okay, what if I do this? What if we change this? What if we just like alter this? And then at the end it was like, well, shit, that was a lot more than just. So I didn't want you to feel discouraged. I mean, like you did fine. Bios can be really long or really short. It doesn't matter at all. It just matters that your point gets across and that it's engaging. So if you have a really long bio, but it's like a really amazing story, then people will be engaged with it. But if you're just kind of like listing off facts about yourself, nobody cares because they're not there for you. They're there for themselves. So they just want to hear how you can help them. And then that's why like all the important stuff about you, like anything that has to do with like your life or your story or your history, always goes at the bottom.
Yeah.
Like if they decide that they actually care enough to read it, because most of the time they don't. So.
Okay. That's good to know.
Yeah. So I mean,
that.
Effectively with Instagram, then yeah, you're just kind of taking little snippets of it and hitting the top points. And a lot of it will change over time. Like I expect a bio to be, fluid and flexible because your offerings will change, or what you're trying to direct people to at any given time will change. And you have to be very focused with Instagram on getting people to get to that link. So that being said, unless you have 10,000 followers and a swipe up feature where you can throw links in willy-nilly, then you have to be very much like, okay, I want you to do this, so you have to go here. And your bio has to reflect that at any given time.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. So what are we focusing on today?
So then today, what I would say, let's talk about specifics of content. Did I give you access to my content course?
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, are you ready for some more homework?
Content course. Let me write this down.
So,
Do you notice my journal? This is my journal. Space Invaders. Okay. So content.
Yes. Okay. So
What is it? Content what?
Content, it's like a mini course that I have. It's I think it's still on my website. It might not be. I might have hidden it. Because now I don't talk about it except I give it to clients. So that's pretty much what its existence is. It needs a little bit of updating, but for the most part, the core of it is still like crucial principles. Sometimes I use different terms now, but what was the other thing? Oh.
See, I haven't even, I haven't created a page for Instagram for my new business.
Okay.
For forming a podcast consulting business. I haven't even started doing that.
So here's a question. I'm going to ask you. Do you want to try, are you comfortable navigating two different Instagrams, or do you want to try to find a way to combine them? Because it is entirely possible. If you want to have this is my podcast, but I'm also a podcast coach. You could do that theoretically.
I don't mind doing that.
Okay. So that might be
because
something.
it would reduce having to make another Instagram account.
It would. Yeah. Because I mean, the thing is that, in reality, when you have a podcast, you're usually just releasing on podcast day. Mm-hmm. And how often is that one again?
My podcast usually is every Friday right now.
Every Friday. Okay.
Yeah. So
So I mean,
That's
there's enough space in an Instagram grid for you to put a thing in every Friday and still have the rest of the content be centered around it. Because I mean, the thing is like people too, if they know that you are a podcast coach, they're probably going to want some sort of like proof of
Mhm.
your abilities. So having that podcast would be helpful. And the fact that you are a nerd, I think is going to be very important. And we need to bring that out because like it's just who you are as a person.
Mhm.
And like you want clients that are going to relate to that. So oh, that leads me to, did that guy ever respond to you ever again, or did she just
Nope.
be there? Okay.
He
Good
just
riddance.
kind of like disappeared, and he like clammed up as soon as I mentioned, like, I'm not doing this for free.
Yeah.
Like I said, my time is valuable.
Yeah.
So it would have to be at a cost. And he like, as he was texting, he was like skedaddling away. Like the way he was writing his
Yeah.
text was like, I have to go, you know, that sort of
So weird.
style of like, I'm scared, I don't want to pay you, goodbye, you know, sort of thing.
Okay.
It's like, okay.
Well, I mean,
Then
it's better to draw that line in the sand now than have to
yeah,
like go backwards on that later. It's a lot.
I agree. He was I think his head was a little too ambitious for his own self.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and he wanted to get everything for free from other people.
Sure.
It's like, that's not the way it works.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
anybody, even
Yeah.
podcast coaching that exists right now through Facebook pages and stuff, they still will charge you.
Yeah.
It's like, if you want to take their course, they will charge you to have their course. So
Yeah, you just have to kind of be particular. Like if you're willing to do stuff for free in exchange for like testimonials, then that's always like, that's something that you offer. Like that's something that is like your gift to give. It's not your gift to be asked for. So, I mean, like, you know, I have one client who is, I don't charge her, but it's because she also, well, we kind of have an arrangement. She helps me train my parrot. So she's a parrot trainer and she's helped me immensely. So anyway, so no, I don't charge her, but that's like that's my arrangement and agreement. And like, I have that on top of my regular client load so I can still pay my bills. You know, it's like, it's a lot, but I do it because it's like it's a gift. It's a gift I can give somebody. It was part of my,
well, and then it's a gift they give to you as well.
Yeah.
It's an even exchange.
Yeah.
There's a
that's true.
difference.
She didn't see it that way. And I told her it was, at that time, it was the Jewish holiday of Purim, and like, you're supposed to like give something to a friend. And I was like, oh, look, this is my Jewish holiday thing that I have to do. So you must take it. And she was like, oh, okay, then I'll take it if you're Jewishly obligated. Okay. So then with the content planning course, the reason that I want to give that to you is because that kind of gives a framework for basically building up your content. So the big thing, which is something that I think we should discuss on the Zoom call, is the concept of content pillars. I've also heard them called content buckets. It just kind of depends who you're talking to. But what content pillars or content buckets are, so they are basically 3 to 5 very general, broad subjects that anything that you write can fit into. So it would be, 3 to 5 things that are authentic to your brand, authentic to you as a person, etc. So let's see, the example of, I have a client, she just gave me her 3, and again, you can go up to 5. I usually don't recommend more than 5 because it just gets confusing. Yeah. But, and our brain really likes 3, so I really like 3.
It is a prime.
So she chose like knitting education, and then she chose body positivity, and she chose what was the other one? Simple joys, I think it was, like something like that. Like, so basically then the way that we worked it out, because she wants to blog about knitting and body positivity, and she wants to still include some of the stuff like in her life that's like may come outside of the knitting zone. So that's why simple joys was kind of added in there, because that could be knitting, and knitting can go into that very easily, but it can also broaden. And so if her brand changes or shifts, and she maybe wants to like change the way that she teaches, or change the medium under which she teaches, like something like that, like those can flex and change with her and her brand. I mean, of course, if she completely pivots and decides to become like a zookeeper, then those 3 pillars would probably change. You don't need probably those 3 categories, but
True.
If that kind of makes sense. So,
Yeah.
In something that, okay.
So like,
yeah, go ahead.
Brainstorm. I'm
Yeah.
going to brainstorm for a minute.
Do it.
So with a podcast, like I'm a podcast coach. So I would focus on having a good sound quality. I don't know. I mean, that's an idea. That's a broad subject, because there's a lot involved with sound quality. You have to have a good mic. You have to have a good connection for your laptop. You have to have a good room to record in. It encompasses a lot of subjects that revolve around sound. Like, how do you muffle sound? How do you make, that's just one subject. It's like having good sound quality is important, but like it would be called something. I just don't know.
Well, here's a question then. So could you put that under the broader, make it even broader, and put it under equipment?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Because then you could include anything that is equipment related. So that could be involving the studio that you're working in, or even just like the apps you use on your phone, or all of that stuff can kind of go underneath of equipment, basically.
Yeah.
So I mean,
yeah,
like,
that sounds good.
Obviously, like, as you create content, these are just like very general things. Nobody else will ever see these but you. This is just so that you can get an idea, like when you come up with an idea of like something to write. Like, let's say you decide that you want to write a blog about 10 things not to feed your beagle, and you go through your content pillars and you realize, okay, that really doesn't fit here. So maybe that just needs to be a personal thing, that's what I mean. I mean, that's an extreme example, but you know what I mean. Like, sure.
Not feeding her liver.
Yeah, there you go. So, because like I kind of failed a little bit at one point where I was really into, like, I really love, like, Shabbat is my favorite thing every week. And so I thought, like, the idea of Shabbat and the Sabbath, like the whole idea of Sabbath, in general, like in Judaism, it's really big. In Christianity, it's like kind of, but like, it's such a peaceful time to like meditate and do all these other things, right? And spend time with
it's reflective.
Yes, it's like such a lovely, like, quiet thing. And I really was so into it, and like reading about it and researching it. And I was like, oh, you just really want to do something that like involves building rest into your business. But nobody wants the rest. We want the action. We want the stuff that actually moves us forward, not the stuff that's just going to stick us there. So I ended up like realizing very quickly, after I was trying to spearhead that as something, I was like, okay, this is not going. I just have to like throw it out the window and be like, well, I tried. But that was something where I did not check to make sure that that fit in with my pillars. It was a little bit outside the realm. So anyway, that's what I mean. So, okay. So we got equipment. Let's see. Tell me more about what you think, maybe brainstorming.
I don't know. Well, let's see, equipment encompasses a lot. Marketing.
Mm,
Marketing includes a whole bunch because it includes social media. It includes meeting people. It includes networking.
mm.
That's three main things that it includes, but I'm sure it includes a lot more. I mean, marketing, you got to have like artwork for if you want to design your logo for your podcast. You want either you hire someone or you create it yourself, do you have equipment to create it yourself? Do you have an iPad? Do you use Procreate? I don't know. These type of things, it all comes under that marketing term. Like, what?
I gotta take the dog out.
Okay. Like Canva. Do you use Canva?
Yeah.
All that encompasses marketing, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yes, I agree with that. So I think that's good. All right. What else we got?
Nerddom.
I like it. Yes. No, I think that's important.
Because part of my podcast is talking about nerd stuff, movies and music and the film scores and how it affects the movie and the whole experience. And you're hearing Molly, aren't you? Did you just hear her?
Yeah.
Yeah. She's hard not to hear.
I heard her bugling.
Yep. She's like,
oh, there goes my dog. Murphy.
there we go.
Cool it. It's the computer. I have a dachshund and he's like ready to charge.
He's like, what's going on? I hear a dog.
Is it Chewy?
Murphy.
Oh.
My dog, yeah.
Yep.
No, Chewy doesn't care. Chewy doesn't care at all. He's asleep. Murphy, stop. Hey, come here. Come.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. He's just like, he thinks that somebody's gonna come in the door any minute. Okay.
That was me. It was probably him hearing me.
It might have been, but
I'm louder than my beagle.
it's okay. Okay. So yes, and I think that, because like you're gonna likely, even in your own marketing and the things that you talk about, I imagine Nerddom's gonna find its way.
Well, yeah, and like a lot of the ways I'll compare things to will be like, what do you, when you see this movie, like you see Waterworld, it's like Mad Max on the water.
Yes. Yeah. And I mean, like, I think it'd be kind of cool too, is if when you're talking about things that relate to podcasting specifically, if you kind of made those analogies as well, like,
well, like
you need to be
Kevin Costner used the dome to protect Helen as they went way underwater, and she was within a soundproof bubble.
I guess.
Is that good?
Yeah, I'm sure that will work. It's either that or I was thinking something more like, be as gallant as XYZ person and whatever. Anyway.
Oh yeah, sure.
You can play with it. It's your thing, you play with it.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I am a nerd, but I'm not this level, right?
You don't push it.
I'm like my level, which is very like backwater, like most of it was in my youth kind of thing.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Except for Firefly, that was recent. But anyway, okay. So Nerddom is good. I feel like there should be one more, and I'm trying to figure out.
Like, what about like anything from my About Me page that would help?
Okay, let's pull up the About Me page and take a look and see what we've got here.
Because I really like the ideas of having like those pillars to help, I don't know, form a better like focus.
Yes, I mean that's essentially that's part of it, but you leave them at least broad enough so that like you've got wiggle room if you need it. I am thinking about, I'm just kind of, the only other thing that I'm thinking of is like technique, right? So like,
Oh, okay.
I mean, does that seem like something that would
Yeah.
fall in successfully? Like,
Hmm.
because if you have like your equipment, you have marketing, you have techniques, that kind of covers the big chunks.
Well, because technique involves a lot of aspects too, because do you script it? Do you do outlines? Do you do it just right on the fly?
Mhm.
There's various ways of constructing how you're gonna bring someone, if you're gonna have a guest, and things like that. Starting a podcast, or how will you incorporate marketing into like talking to your podcast people? It's like yeah.
So, okay, so the last question that I want to ask about it is, do you have specifically, I guess, do you think that you'll cover, because yeah, because like when I think about like me and my coaching, like a lot of the stuff that I do has to do revolve around mindset too, right? Like I have to work a ton with a lot of my,
That's true. Mindset is part of technique.
yeah, I guess it could be. It could be. Yeah. So that could be very broad under there. I just wasn't sure if I would put that in another category or not, but I think you're right.
No,
I think it can be. Um,
because like for myself, I'm going to use myself as an example in this situation, because if I hadn't had the mindset to do more with my podcast than just put it out on the internet and share it through Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, wherever, and actually went to a comic convention and handed out business cards for my podcast, or got to know other podcasters there, or even did my panel at the comic convention for my podcast about soundtracks in nerdy movies. It, the mindset, I had the motivation to do that.
right.
So part of technique even is motivation,
Right.
doing it.
Yeah.
Like, how often do you do your podcast? Part of that is what drives you to do more.
Right.
Is that right?
Yeah. I mean, I would say
okay.
so. Because the thing is like, for me specifically, like it doesn't make any difference to me, like if you feel like that fits or not, like if feel like it fits or not. It really is
Okay.
like, if you can associate it with that, so that when you go to those at some point, like with a piece of content, and you're able to say, yes, okay, that definitely fits within these lines, then I mean, then that's all that matters, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
So I mean, that's just kind of what I see it from, the
Okay.
perspective I see it from. So, okay, so that's great. Now, here's the other thing, is that when we look at all of these things together, is that basically every piece of content that you make will fall into one of these categories.
Okay.
And with the only exception I can think of, and I don't even think, and I think it's really just for Instagram. I wouldn't see this on Twitter or Facebook, but stories, using Instagram
Okay.
stories. Like, you
Well, I
can
just did one
you can
for Star Wars
literally,
Day.
yeah, you can use them for like literally anything. I mean, that would
Mhm.
fall under nerddom, so that's great. But
Yeah, that's true.
I think that there are times that we put just like the weirdest things in there, and that's really um it's just a way to connect with people and let them see a little bit more into our world.
Hmm.
So that's where you can post like, the dog pictures, or for me, like bird pictures, like the
Hmm.
bird sometimes makes it into the grid, but if you, or videos or reels or whatever, like
It has to be an exceptional picture or something like this
yeah,
one.
right, exactly. So like the throwaway stuff that like you want people to see because you know they probably will, your ideal customer would still be interested in it. Like I share a lot of memes in mine, and I know my ideal customer is going to be interested in those memes and find them funny, but they don't have anything to do with my brand. They're really just like a way of getting to know me and my very strange personality. So which people need to know if they want to work with me. And I would say vice versa with you. Like they're going to need to see that personality in action in some way. And sometimes in content, it's a little bit harder. And this is something that Haley and I had to work on as well, is that, you know, you will have to find your writing style. And that writing style needs to be as close to the way that you speak as possible. Like if you were just chatting with a friend at the kitchen table, how would you describe things to them? And then that is basically, that needs to become your writing style.
Okay.
So ish, you know, it's a little tricky, but
I like how you say that ish.
I mean, it's not an exact science, right? But like
Yeah.
it is a way to kind of think about it. You know, I've had people who, you know, you get really nervous about selling, right? Like we all do, about being like, okay, here's my thing, I have to offer it. I mean, you may not struggle with it as much, but some people really get nervous about it. It's like, okay, so a lot of times they have somebody they know who really likes it, and they're friends with that person. Like, oh, your friend really likes what you do, right? Yeah. Okay, so what would you send in a text to your friend to try to sell them this thing? Write that out and then send it to me, and I'll tell you if that works.
Oh, you mean me?
Well, I mean, like you can, but like that's homework I've given before
Oh, okay.
as just like an exercise. So, you know, a lot of times too, if I really struggle with, okay, how do I want to phrase this? I think about writing it to my best friend who is like very business minded, and she's like very witty and intelligent, and I know exactly what I need to say in order to like kind of get her attention. So that's kind of a technique that I use, but that comes into play a lot with content overall, because you're going to be primarily writing unless you do video. And in video, it's a little bit easier because you're saying it. You don't have to write it.
Instead of writing it. Yeah.
Instead of writing it. But video also too, there's a learning curve with it. And that is just because it just takes the time to like get comfortable with it, more or less. But if you pop on Instagram stories every once in a while, if you do an IGTV every once in a while, it's amazing how quickly you'll get used to it.
Okay.
So I wouldn't worry too much about that. If you were worried, there it is.
Okay.
But that is something that kind of comes into play, but otherwise, then yeah, everything else is going to fit right into those categories. So I think it would be pertinent to start thinking about, and you'll see this too when you go through the course will be your homework. And I think it should, and I probably will prioritize that over more Instagram stuff if you're like having to choose, because just because I want you to feel like, you know, Instagram is a tool, but your content is such a core part of your business. And so,
well, it has to be, because if there's no content, you have no clients.
Right, exactly. Like that's how we are content consumers at this, you know, time in our world. So that being said, then, so homework is to do the course, which it's short. It's not overwhelming at all.
Good.
So I'll send it to you. But the thing is like it goes through the content pillars, which we've kind of talked about, and you may shift some things around as you read it. And then it talks into kind of like how to find ideas. And then that's kind of the big thing, is getting some sort of like an idea pool going, basically like somewhere where you can keep a log, like your journal, of different content ideas, so that on days that you are like, I'm out, I don't care, I've had a crap day, I just need something that I have no idea what to write about. I know I need to do something this week, but I don't know what. You can go into your notebook, you see your list that you haven't used yet. Oh, perfect, great. Let's talk about, whatever, boom mics or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that right? Is that a term? Okay, so great.
Sure. Well, because there's variations. There's ones that have, no, seriously, there's ones that have like a shock absorption thing around the microphone, and it's part of that boom mic.
Is that what this thing is? Why it's wiggly?
It shouldn't be wiggly. It should
No,
be
it is.
tight.
It's like an elastic cradle that it sits in.
Oh, it should tighten.
I don't think so. There's no anything on it.
Well, at least you have you have two
So I
pop
could just
filters.
pull it out and pop it.
Why do you have two pop filters?
I don't know. I don't even know what this thing is. It's just,
That's a pop filter.
does this?
Yeah,
I only need one.
you only need one.
What do they do?
They prevent you from going like,
Oh. Well,
making smacking noises.
well, it came with both of them attached, so I just.
Weird. That's unusual. Okay.
All right. Well, now I know. So regardless, but you know what I mean? Like you can go in and God, I bought it off Amazon. It was like $20. So it's like,
Well, that's good. That's good.
something in a pinch.
Yeah. I understand. I've been there.
It was before I met you. So yes, so that then yes, content pool is important. It talks about it in the course, but it's just an important thing to have. And I would like if you get to that part, right? And I'm
Okay.
sure you will, as you'll start thinking of ideas right away as you start kind of going through that course. But just being able then to see what ideas you're coming up with. And at the beginning, I mean, like you're like in a crush with your business, right? Like you have like a never ending list of ideas and all this inspiration, and you just like the well will not run dry for a while. So that's good.
Well, and I think what helps is in that regard, like for my specific thing that I want to start, my business that I want to start, there are specific things that I can find right now, questions that have been asked on Facebook groups. And it's like, why is this important?
Yeah.
It's like people ask the questions, but why is it important? Or why is it not important?
Right.
What does it matter for this?
Right.
So,
yeah. I mean, that is one of the ways in which, I mean, any of us get content generation. It's the best way really is to find what people actually want to know and then create content around that. And I mean, it amazes me sometimes how much I assume my potential customers know. And I will say something and they're like, what is that? And you're like, okay. All right. So we just need to go back a little bit here. So, I mean, and a lot of people are like, I'm worried I'm going to tell my customers that they're like, treat them like they're stupid. I was like, no, you just can't assume that they know things. And they're not going to be upset if you assume that they don't. So
that's correct.
and
it's like, if you're able to tell them something that they don't know,
right.
they'll learn something.
Right. Exactly. So I think, I mean, because like this session primarily is just kind of getting you set up for the content stuff. I really, like I said, like I like to do the content pillars like as a conversation because I think they're so core and they're so crucial.
Did those help? I mean, does that help me grow my content? Like, I mean, I think it would.
Yeah. Because
So,
I mean,
okay.
I can't see how it wouldn't.
Yeah, correct. Okay.
And I mean, again, you have room to flex and shift. I mean, nothing is set in stone, nothing's concrete. You can always make changes. But at least then you've got just guidelines. So because you have that course, And because on top of that, you already have the workbook, I hesitate to give you a whole lot more for homework other than doing the course and coming up with a potential list of content things. And okay, so I'll make it even more complicated. Sorry. Okay, I said I wasn't going to give you a lot of homework. So what I would say is like when you have an idea for content, I would like to know ideally what format you would put that in. So let's say,
okay.
so
Let
like,
me write that down.
yeah.
So like,
Also,
no, for content, what format would that take?
Yes. And it can be multiple. I mean, that's the thing. So, okay. So let's say, okay, let me try to do a good example. So, all right. So I have, okay, let's talk about Instagram bio. So I have, the workbook obviously talks about it. The videos talk about it. I have like IGTVs that talk about it. I have a blog that talks about it, and it all says the same damn thing. And so, I mean, but initially it was an IGTV. I did a video on Instagram talking to people about it because people were asking me so many questions about them. So I started there, and then you can repurpose content and put it in different places in different ways. So like my blog post is actually an infographic. And that was so that I could make it into a Pinterest pin, which I never did, but maybe I should. And then obviously like I repurposed it and glammed it up a little bit more and stuck it in a workbook. And now, that's not free. So there's just different ways. It's just kind of like initially what comes to mind is how you would use it. Like, okay, I would use it as a podcast episode, or I would write it as a newsletter, or I would do a blog post, or I would do an Instagram caption, or I would do an Instagram reel or something like that, because there can be, or you could do multiple for each one, but it just an idea of like starting to think about, okay, like if I did create content about this, how would I present it and where would I present it?
Mm-hmm.
Is that overwhelming?
No.
Okay.
Not
Good.
really.
Good.
It's not anything more than what I've already been doing for like podcast preparation and stuff. So
perfect. Okay, good. So then content pool, content course, continuing with Instagram if you have time.
Okay.
I think that's good. I mean, like, I feel like,
yeah, otherwise it's too much.
Yeah. All right. Okay, fine.
No, I don't want to, over extend,
I just love giving homework. Anyway,
you said you wouldn't give me much.
I had somebody on the first call, like we had gotten through most of the call, and she was just like, "Are you going to give me homework?" And I said, "Oh, honey, you have no idea." So much homework. Okay, so there is all of that.
Okay.
Obviously I'll write that all up and get you the recording and everything.
Okay, that'd be great. Question for you.
Yes.
Are you using Anchor yet?
Yes. Yeah, I've been using Anchor.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
For like your interviews?
Yes. Oh, no, no. I don't think I've had any.
So the nice thing about Anchor is that you can send either a text through like whatever social media platform they use. You can use it through like Facebook Messenger or Instagram Messenger or whatever, or a text or even a email. Usually email works greatest because all they get is a link and they click that link and they're in. Okay. They don't have to have Anchor to join you on the conversation. And see, you are the one initiating it. And it's only through mobile. You can't do it through your laptop.
Okay.
I mean, if you're doing podcasts like the interview, it only works through mobile or iPad, unless you have an iPad. iPad works too.
I think I would probably do it for interview for sure. I don't know about the coaching, because the coaching, it's so nice to have that.
No. I mean like recording for podcasts.
No, I know, but I mean, I do coaching podcasts.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Like,
okay.
where
Yeah.
like I coach somebody on a call. But yeah, for the interview ones, that would be fine, because like I don't necessarily, we always look like, it's like I look like garbage, they look like garbage, and we're just yakking. So
Audio is the best.
yeah, I prefer it a lot of times. But yeah, okay. Any other questions that you have for me about you?
Today's material, like the stuff that we've already covered today.
Doesn't matter. It can be anything. I'm open to all questions.
Well, I did have a question. How often do you do like an IGTV?
Whenever I think of one.
Oh, okay.
So not very often. I mean,
Okay.
I'll go in spurts where I'll let people ask me questions, like in a Instagram story, like in
Oh, okay. Yeah. How do you do questions?
There's a box like when you go to add, like, do you know how to do a poll? Like a poll or a sticker?
I know how to do stickers
Okay,
and
so if you
lettering.
get into the stickers,
Okay.
like, right when those,
Oh, it has a poll or
yeah,
okay.
there's a poll and there's one that says question.
Oh, okay.
Questions. And so you can just stick that in there, and then people can ask you things. And so I save those questions and then turn them into IGTVs, because they take me more than a minute to answer, which is as long as I can do a string of stories together without annoying people. So yeah, I do that. And then I'm going to have a string coming up of like the little tutorials on, like, I have some older clients who don't know how to do a lot of Instagram stuff. So I'm trying to make it accessible for them, and so that they can, because a lot of people want that workbook, and it's like, well, I don't want you to have the workbook if you don't know how to make a post.
Yeah.
So
yeah. You got to know how to do an Instagram post before you do the workbook.
yeah,
Definitely. Yeah. Well, I did do one IGTV on my Instagram for Soundtrack Alley. It was the first one I ever did, and I thought it went really good. It was about content that I was going to be putting out, and I think, I don't remember, it was a while ago.
Yeah.
We were facing a lot, so
I mean, the thing is like right now, if you have something that needs to take longer than a minute, IGTV is your jam.
okay.
If it's something that you can condense a little bit more, like Reels is where it's at. They want you to use Reels so bad that they will give you so much incentive for doing it. And that's kind of the thing right now. I even saw in the latest update that they were increasing reach for Reels. So like they're just continually using that as bait. And so if there's any way that you can, I mean, there's so many different ways to do them. So if there's any way that you find that aligns with kind of your style and what you think might be fun, then, might be worth at least testing it out and playing with it a little. Could be fun with Soundtrack Alley, because you could, do some movie soundtracks in there and do something kind of goofy with it, or not, whatever.
Like, you know what this is?
It looks like this. Is that one of the Daleks?
No, he's a robot. His name's Robbie the robot.
Oh.
He's from Forbidden Planet.
No.
And Forbidden Planet is actually based upon, well, loosely based upon William Shakespeare's The Tempest.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, like you could do something like that. But yeah, I mean,
like using that in a video, like walk across or something.
Yes, you could. You could definitely do that. I mean, they're worth trying and playing with right now, and you never know. You never know who will stop by and check it out.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah.
Okay, because I want to try it out but also I want to work on the stuff that you gave me. And I'll go back into the Instagram videos. Like I only have 2 left, so that should work pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a rush. So, I mean, like whenever you get to it, you get to it, but it's worth playing with.
Okay, so you'll send me the content mini course.
Yeah, I'll probably send that right away and then send you the rest of the notes a little bit, probably by tomorrow.
Okay.
Because I have to actually go back to work after this.
How are you recovering?
Fine.
You feeling much better?
Yeah, I don't know. It was weird for a little bit. I'm not exactly sure. I don't know if I got food poisoning or a second virus or if it was from the second dose of the vaccine.
My friend Eric Woods, he got his second dose of his shot, and he was like sicker than a dog for like 2 days.
Yeah, it's a very weird feeling. It's very weird. But my dad, my biological dad, he died of COVID in June last year. And then, so I have a bonus dad, like I have a second kind of like family that's kind of like taking me under their wing. And then he got hospitalized with COVID on Sunday. And I was like, Jesus, I just need a break. like, I was like, no, I need to keep my other dad. He's home now, but he had like, he got his second dose, but he must have like contracted COVID at the site because like 5 days later, he was sick and positive with COVID.
Man.
It was crazy, but I don't know. It's like some serious like muscle spasms or something. But anyway,
wow. Okay,
yeah, I'm fine.
good. I'm well too. I'm doing well. I'm looking forward to digging into this because this will really give me some better focus.
Yeah, I
for
think
like content.
I think so too. Cool.
So, I don't think I have anything else though.
Perfect. Well, then we'll wrap it up, and then if nothing else, I'll at least chat with you on Sunday. Obviously, I'll send my email.
Yes.
But then, yeah, you'll get your recap by Sunday.
Have those been working? Have I been responding well for those?
Those are however you want to use them.
Okay.
Like some people never respond, and that's their choice. Like, you know, it's their money they're using, and how they want to use it is their.
It's not necessarily an obligation, but I am compelled to answer. Like I have things that I can tell about or talk about, or things that I've been working on. And like, I think the last one that you sent, I told about my 2 podcast things, and those went really well, by the way.
Good.
The interview was super cool because she stayed on afterward and asked me questions about like my podcast, how I got started, and all this jibber jabber, and we talked about film scores and how today's film scores don't sound like they used to, and
that's cool.
It was pretty cool. So that podcast is still in the works because I have to see if Eric can clean it up just a little bit, just to see if it'll be clean, and that way I can see if he wants to put it on Cinematic Sound or if I should just keep it where I'm at. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was fun.
Cool.
And then we talked about aliens.
Yeah. Cool. Okay.
It was a good episode. I have the draft on my phone.
That's exciting.
It was cool. So, all right. I think that's it. You have a good night.
All right. You too.
Thanks.
All right. Bye.
Bye.